The Galactic Empire set its sights on Earth. They got one warning. LeaveHFY stared at the screen in front of her, her hands gripping the edge of the table. The blinking red dots moving toward Earth's solar system weren't meteors or space debris. They moved with purpose, with intent. "How long until they reach Mars?" she asked. The young technician beside her swallowed hard. 36 hours, Commander. Whatever they are, they're fast." Allison nodded, her mind racing. After 20 years in the Air Force, she had been appointed to lead the newly formed Earth Defense Initiative just 3 months ago. Most people thought it was a waste of resources, a symbolic gesture to calm public fears after strange signals were detected from deep space. No one, including Allison, expected actual contact so soon. "Alert all EDI bases worldwide, and get me the Secretary General." As the technician hurried away, Allison looked back at the screen. Humanity had always wondered if we were alone in the universe. In 36 hours, they would have their answer. Captain Ethan Carter watched the stars from the observation deck of the Watchdog platform. The experimental space station was Earth's first true orbital defense system, equipped with railguns and missile systems that most politicians didn't think would ever be needed. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Adam Clark, floated up beside him. "Commander Wright is requesting we go to full alert status." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Because of those objects approaching Mars?" "Yes, sir. They're calling it First Contact Protocol." Ethan's heart skipped a beat. After years of training for a moment no one truly believed would come, it was finally happening. "Sound General Quarters. I want all systems online and weapons hot in 30 minutes. As the alarm blared throughout the station, Ethan took one last look at the peaceful Earth below. He wondered how much longer it would stay that way. Dr. Samuel Ross hadn't slept in 48 hours, but he'd never felt more awake. The government helicopter had picked him up from his small university office without warning. Now he stood in the heart of the EDI command center, surrounded by military personnel who suddenly wanted to hear his theories about alien life. "Dr. Ross, what should we expect?" Commander Wright asked, gesturing to the screen showing the approaching fleet. Samuel cleared his throat. "Based on their formation and speed, they're clearly an advanced civilization with faster-than-light travel. Their ships maintain perfect spacing. That suggests either highly advanced AI or incredible precision in navigation." "Hostile or friendly?" a general asked from across the room. "That's impossible to say," Samuel replied honestly. "But consider this. They're approaching in a wedge formation. On Earth, that's traditionally a military formation." The room fell, silent as his words sank in. Commander Wright turned to the communications officer. "Any response to our greeting message?" "No, ma'am. We've broadcast on all frequencies, but they remain silent." Samuel watched the dots on the screen. His life's work validated in the most terrifying way possible. They might not communicate the way we do, or they might simply not be interested in talking yet. The visitors announced themselves 3 days later, not with a message but with action. Their massive ships emerged from what appeared to be tiers in space near Jupiter's orbit. Earth's telescopes captured images that were broadcast to stunned populations worldwide. Enormous vessels that dwarfed anything humans had built, sleek and dark against the backdrop of space. In the White House Situation Room, President Olivia Warren sat surrounded by her advisors as Commander Wright presented the latest information. "We count 87 ships in total. The largest is approximately 15 miles long. Their technology is beyond anything we've developed." "Have they made contact?" the president asked. Almost in answer to her question, every screen in the Calcom room flickered. Every television on Earth, every computer, every phone, all displayed the same image. A humanoid figure with gray-blue skin and eyes too large for its narrow face. "People of Earth," it said in perfect English. "I am High Marshal Craxtall of the Galactic Empire. Your world has been selected for integration into our domain." The room erupted in whispers, but everyone fell silent as the alien continued. "We offer you the opportunity to join our empire as a protectorate state. Your resources will serve the greater glory of the empire. and in return you will receive protection and technological advancement. The alternative is resistance, which will result in your elimination. The message ended as abruptly as it had begun, leaving a simple countdown clock on every screen. 48. On the Watchdog platform, Captain Carter and his crew watched the massive ships with a mixture of awe and dread. "Sir, I'm picking up unusual energy readings from their fleet," Lieutenant Clark said, pointing to his monitor. "Their shields seem to fluctuate at regular intervals." Ethan studied the readings. After years of testing experimental defense systems, he recognized patterns. In technology, it's almost like they're recycling energy, like a pulse. "Could that be a weakness?" Clark asked quietly. "Maybe. Keep recording all data and send it directly to Dr. Winters at EDI Research." Ethan turned back to the viewport, watching the distant shapes of the alien ships. "And pray we never need to use it." The world's leaders gathered virtually as the countdown reached 24 hours. The debate was heated, with many nations favoring immediate surrender. "They clearly possess technology centuries beyond our own," the British Prime Minister argued. "Fighting would be suicide." "But we can't just give up our world without knowing what integration truly means," Commander Wright countered. She had been invited to advise the president during the crisis. Dr. Ross has analyzed their message. The term protectorate is concerning. Dr. Ross stood before the world leaders, uncomfortable in the spotlight but determined to be heard. In Earth history, protectorate status was often a polite fiction for exploitation. "They mentioned our resources specifically." President Warren leaned forward. "What are you suggesting, Doctor?" "I believe they want Earth itself, our minerals, our water, possibly even our biological diversity. Not an alliance." Silence fell over the meeting as his words sank in. "We need more information," President Warren finally said. "We'll send a diplomatic team while continuing preparations for defense. Let's pray it doesn't come to that." As the meeting ended, Commander Wright received an urgent message from Captain Carter. His team had discovered potential vulnerabilities in the alien ship's defensive systems. It wasn't much, but it was something. Allison looked up at the stars, visible through the command center's skylight. In 48 hours, humanity would either begin a new chapter as part of a galactic community or fight for its very existence. Either way, nothing would ever be the same again. The Galactic Empire set its sights on Earth. They got one warning. Leave Patricia Gomez adjusted her uniform one last time before boarding the shuttle. As Earth's chosen diplomatic envoy, she carried the fate of humanity on her shoulders. A career, diplomat with 20 years of international negotiation experience. She had never imagined her skills would be tested against beings from another world. "Remember, Ambassador Gomez," Commander Wright said, gripping her arm. "Your primary mission is to gather information. The longer we can keep them talking, the more time we have to prepare." Patricia nodded. "I understand. And if their intentions truly are hostile?" Wright's face hardened. "Then get back here as quickly as you can." The small team of diplomats, scientists, and linguists boarded the shuttle. As they lifted off toward the massive alien command ship waiting in Earth's orbit, Patricia watched her home planet grow smaller below. The blue marble that had always been humanity's only home now seemed terribly vulnerable. Jack Miller wasn't supposed to be in the EDI headquarters. 6 months ago, he had been facing federal charges for hacking into government systems. Now he sat at a terminal in the heart of Earth's Defense Command, surrounded by military personnel who eyed him with suspicion. "Anything yet?" "Commander," Wright asked, approaching his station. Jack shook his head. "Their systems are like nothing I've seen before, but..." He pointed to lines of code on his screen. "There's something weird here. Their communication protocols have similarities to our own, almost like they've adapted their systems to interface with ours. Is that good or bad?" "Could be both," Jack replied, running his hand through his messy hair. "It means they've studied us for a while, but it also means there might be ways to get into their systems that they haven't anticipated." Commander Wright studied the young hacker. "You have 48 hours to find a way in. The fate of our world might depend on it." As she walked away, Jack turned back to his screen. He'd spent his life breaking into systems everyone thought were impenetrable. This was just the ultimate challenge. Patricia's first glimpse of the inside of the alien vessel took her breath away. The corridors were vast, with ceilings that rose 30 feet high. The walls pulsed with soft blue light that seemed to follow their movement. An alien figure approached, similar to the one from the broadcast, but smaller. "I am Sub-Commander LeaveHFY," it said in accented but clear English. "I will escort you to the meeting chamber." "Thank you," Patricia replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "We appreciate your willingness to meet with us." The alien made a gesture that might have been a nod. The Empire is always generous with new acquisitions. Patricia noticed how the alien hesitated before the word generous. As they walked through the massive ship, she observed everything: the other alien species working in various chambers, the technology, and especially the way some aliens seemed to flinch when Empire officers passed by. In the meeting chamber, they faced Grand Strategist Mockstar, a taller, more imposing figure than LeaveHFY. His skin was darker gray and elaborate markings covered his face. "Ambassador Gomez," he said without preamble, "we are pleased you have come to discuss the terms of Earth's integration." "We've come to learn more about what integration means," Patricia responded carefully. "Earth has many questions about the Empire and what becoming a protectorate would entail." Mockstar made a sound that might have been a laugh. "It is simple. Your world has resources we require. Your people will help extract those resources. In exchange, you will receive Imperial protection and limited access to certain technologies." "And if we refuse?" one of Patricia's team asked. The alien's large eyes narrowed. "That would be unfortunate. The Empire has integrated thousands of worlds. Some required more persuasion than others." Throughout the meeting, Patricia noted how Sub-Commander LeaveHFY seemed uncomfortable, almost flinching at certain statements from his superior. When the meeting ended, he escorted them back toward their shuttle. As they passed through an empty corridor, LeaveHFY suddenly stopped and looked around nervously. "Ambassador," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "What they are not telling you, integration means the end of your civilization. I have seen it before." Patricia froze. "Why are you telling me this?" "My world was one of the first they conquered centuries ago. We wait for a chance to break free." His large eyes darted around. "Your planet has something they want badly. Not just resources, but also your biology. Do not trust them." Before Patricia could ask more, other aliens approached, and LeaveHFY resumed his formal demeanor, leading them silently to their shuttle. Chendi saw. The Watchdog platform, Captain Carter and Lieutenant Clark worked tirelessly to understand the alien fleet's defensive capabilities. "There it is again," Clark said, pointing at the energy readings. "Every 82 minutes, their shield grid goes through a recycling phase. For just under 3 seconds, there's a drop in coverage here." He pointed to a specific section on the largest ships. Carter nodded. "It's not much, but it's something. If we could time a concentrated strike during that window." "Even so, our weapons might not be powerful enough," Clark said. "Maybe not yet," Carter replied. "But Dr. Winters has been working on something that might change that equation." In a secured lab beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Lisa Winters hadn't slept in days. The physicist had been tasked with weaponizing Captain Carter's observations about the alien shields. Around her, a team of scientists worked frantically to modify Earth's missile systems. "The frequency modulation is key," she explained to General Paul Diaz, who had come to check on their progress. "If we can hit their shields at exactly the right moment with precisely the right electromagnetic pulse, we might be able to create a cascading failure in their defense grid." "Might?" the general asked. "It's the best chance we have," she replied honestly. "Their technology is centuries beyond ours, but sometimes, the more complex a system is, the more vulnerable it can be to unexpected disruptions." When Patricia Gomez returned to Earth, her face was ashen as she briefed the world's leaders on what she had learned. "They don't want an alliance," she explained. "Based on what I saw and what LeaveHFY told me, Integration means stripping our planet of resources, including biological resources, which I believe means us. Other species I saw on board appear to be enslaved. President Warren's face was grim. Then diplomacy has failed. Commander Wright stepped forward. Not entirely, Madam President. We've gained valuable intelligence, and Jack Miller has made a breakthrough. All eyes turned to the young hacker, who looked uncomfortable in the high-level meeting. Their communication systems have backdoors, he explained. I think I can get in and disrupt their fleet coordination, at least temporarily. And Captain Carter has identified a weakness in their shields, Wright continued. Dr. Winters is developing weapons that might exploit it. How long do we have? The president asked. They've given us 24 hours to accept their terms, Patricia said. President Warren looked around the room at humanity's best hope, a commander, a hacker, a diplomat, and scientists fighting to understand alien technology. Then we have work to do. What's our response going to be? Commander Wright's voice was firm. One word, leave. The Galactic Empire set its sights on Earth. They got one warning. Leave. The alien's face contorted with what might have been amusement when he received Earth's message. High Marshal Craxatul had conquered hundreds of worlds for the Empire. None had ever responded so defiantly to an ultimatum. They said what? He asked the communication officer. One word, High Marshal. Leave. Craxatul made a sound that resembled laughter. How interesting. Perhaps these humans will provide more entertainment than I expected. He turned to his weapons officer. Prepare a single destroyer for a punitive strike. Target their largest military installation. Let's show them the cost of defiance. On his private channel, Craxatul sent a message to Emperor Zorkrath himself. My Emperor, I have found a species worthy of your attention. They refuse our generous offer and choose to fight. The Emperor's reply was swift. Show them the price of their pride, then bring me specimens. General Paul Diaz stood in the underground command center, surrounded by officers from every nation on Earth. For the first time in human history, all military forces had united under a single command structure. They're moving, announced a young radar technician. One ship has broken formation and is heading toward Earth. This is it, General Diaz said grimly. All defense systems ready. Activate the shield. Around the world, people watched the skies with dread. Some prayed, some hid, some stood in open fields to witness whatever came next. Dr. Lisa Winters held her breath as she activated the planetary defense shield. The technology, reverse-engineered from what they had learned about the alien ships, was untested and incomplete. It might cover only 30% of the planet, and even then, no one knew if it would work. Shield generators online, she announced. Power at 70% and holding. On screens around the world, people watched as a faint blue shimmer appeared in the atmosphere above North America, Europe, and parts of Asia. The alien destroyer entered Earth's atmosphere with a sound like thunder. It positioned itself above the North American continent and powered up its weapons. A beam of intense red light shot toward Washington, D.C. It never reached its target. The shield flared brilliant blue where the weapon struck. For a moment, the beam seemed to push through, but then it dissipated entirely. In the command center, a cheer went up. The shield had held. They'll try again, Dr. Winters cautioned, and the shield won't last forever. Jack Miller's fingers flew across his keyboard. The moment the alien ship fired, he activated the program he had built to infiltrate their systems. The distraction of the attack was exactly what he needed. I'm in, he announced to Commander Wright, who stood behind him. Their security is adapting quickly, but I've managed to plant the virus. On his screen, alien text and symbols scrolled rapidly. He couldn't read them, but he could see his virus spreading through their network. What exactly will it do? Wright asked. Create chaos, Jack replied with a grim smile. It's altering navigation data, scrambling communications, and corrupting weapon targeting systems. Not permanently, but enough to buy us time. Aboard the Empire's command ship, alarms blared as systems began to fail. What is happening? Craxatul demanded. Unknown, High Marshal, a panicked officer replied. Systems are malfunctioning across the fleet. Communications are compromised. Impossible. These primitives cannot have the technology to affect our systems. But the evidence was undeniable. Across the fleet, ships were reporting errors. 2 smaller vessels had even collided when their navigation systems failed. Crack's tool slammed his fist on the control panel. Isolate all systems. Purge the networks. His crew scrambled to follow orders. He received another message from Emperor Zorkrath. Your report claimed these humans were primitive. The Emperor's voice was cold with anger. Yet they possess shield technology and cyber warfare capabilities. Explain your failure. Crack's tool had no explanation to offer. Major Nicole Johnson had never expected to go to space, let alone board an alien vessel. Yet here she was, leading a team of Special Forces soldiers on a stealth mission to capture an Empire scout ship. Target in sight, her second-in-command whispered through the comm. The small alien vessel hung in low orbit, crippled by Jack Miller's virus. Its crew was busy trying to restore systems, which made it the perfect target, using experimental stealth. Suits developed by Dr. Winters, Nicole's team approached the ship in a modified shuttle. They locked onto the hull and cut their way inside using plasma torches. The alien crew was caught completely by surprise. Within minutes, Nicole's team had secured the vessel with minimal bloodshed. Command, this is Major Johnson, she reported. Target acquired. We're bringing home a new toy for Dr. Winters to play with. In her lab, Dr. Winters could hardly contain her excitement as she examined the captured scout ship. This is incredible, she told General Diaz. Their shield technology works on principles we theorized but couldn't implement. And look at this. She pointed to what appeared to be the ship's main power source. It's some kind of fusion reactor, but it operates at frequencies that make it vulnerable to specific electromagnetic pulses. Can we use that? The general asked. Absolutely. If we can modify our missiles to emit the right frequency when they detonate, we might be able to create a cascading failure in their shields. Fleet Admiral Gaxmore was not pleased to be summoned from the Empire's Central Fleet. Being sent to clean up Crack's tool's mess was beneath his station. The situation is unacceptable, he told his officers as they prepared for hyperspace jump. These humans have embarrassed the Empire. We will crush them quickly and completely. What about the Emperor's order to collect specimens? Asked his second-in-command. We'll take what we need, Gaxmore replied coldly. The rest can burn. Emperor Zorkrath rarely took personal interest in conquest operations. The Empire added dozens of worlds each year without his direct involvement. But something about this Earth situation intrigued him. Show me these humans again, he commanded. His personal attendant displayed images captured from Earth's broadcasts and communications. Fascinating, the Emperor murmured. So physically unremarkable. Yet they've managed to resist our initial force. Perhaps they will make worthy servants after all. He turned to his daughter, Empress Tsavri, who stood silently nearby. Watch this conquest carefully, daughter. It will be educational to see how Admiral Gaxmore handles these unusual primitives. Yes, father, she replied, her eyes fixed on the images of Earth. Though I wonder if primitive is the right word for a species that has already bloodied our nose. On Earth, preparations continued day and night. Dr. Winters' team worked frantically to modify missiles with the new technology. Jack Miller refined his virus to be even more disruptive. Major Johnson trained more teams for boarding operations. In the command center, Commander Wright received the news she had been dreading. Ma'am, we're detecting hundreds of new ships entering the solar system. This isn't a punitive strike anymore. This is a full invasion fleet. Wright's face hardened. Then we'll just have to show them that humans don't surrender easily. Get me General Diaz and the President. It's time for Phase 2. The Galactic Empire set its sights on Earth. They got one warning. Leave Admiral William Hayes stood on the bridge of the USS Defiant, Earth's first starship built with reverse-engineered alien technology. Just 3 weeks ago, it had been an ordinary aircraft carrier. Now it hovered in Earth's orbit surrounded by 80 smaller vessels hastily converted into space fighters. Status report, Hayes ordered, his voice steady despite the knot in his stomach. Empire fleet approaching, sir, His tactical officer responded. Current count is over 500 ships. They'll be in weapons range in 20 minutes. Hayes took a deep breath. Humanity's first space fleet against an armada from the stars. The odds were impossible, but they had no choice but to fight. All ships, battle formation, he commanded. Remember your training. Hit and run just like we practiced. Don't stay in their sights for more than 10 seconds. On the screens, the Empire's vast fleet approached like a swarm of metal locusts. At their center was a vessel that dwarfed all others. The command ship of Fleet Admiral Gaxmordot, Lieutenant Kelly Martinez, climbed into the cockpit of her fighter with hands that trembled slightly. 3 weeks ago, she had been flying F-35s. Now she was piloting a spacecraft equipped with alien technology. Eagle Squadron, check in, she called to her pilots. One by one, the 12 pilots of her squadron responded. Like her, they were all adjusting to technology they barely understood. Remember, everyone, Kelly said as they launched from the hangar bay of the Defiant. Use the new shields to get in close, fire your modified missiles at their power cores, and get out fast. Don't get greedy. As her fighter cleared the hangar, Kelly saw the Empire fleet filling the viewport. Her mouth went dry at the sight, but she pushed down her fear. Eagle Squadron, form up. We go on Admiral Hayes's mark. On the Watchdog platform, now partially repaired after the first attack, Captain Ethan Carter monitored the approaching battle. Charging. Main cannon, Lieutenant Clark reported. The Watchdog's railgun had been modified with Dr. Winter's new technology. In theory, it could punch through an Empire destroyer's shields, if they timed the shot perfectly. Target the nearest destroyer, Carter ordered. Wait for the shield fluctuation. The platform's sensors tracked the energy patterns of the alien vessel, watching for the 3-second window when its shields recycled. Ready. Ready. Clark counted down. Now. The railgun fired with a thunderous vibration that shook the entire platform. The projectile, traveling at nearly 30 times the speed of sound, crossed the distance in seconds. It struck the destroyer exactly as its shields flickered and went straight through. The alien ship shuddered, then exploded in a brilliant flash. Direct hit, Clark shouted. Carter allowed himself a brief smile. Reload and find the next target. We just proved Dr. Winter's theory works. Grand Admiral Vex-Kor watched with disbelief as one of his destroyers exploded. How is this possible? He demanded of his tactical officer. These humans had no space fleet 3 weeks ago. They appear to have adapted our technology, Admiral, the officer replied nervously. The captured scout ship must have provided them with more information than we anticipated. Vex-Kor's face darkened with rage. No primitive species has ever defeated the Empire. Launch all fighters. Destroy their fleet. Beside him, Empress Tsavri observed silently. Her father had sent her to witness this battle as part of her military education. So far, it was not proceeding as expected. Admiral, she said quietly, these humans seem unusually adaptable. A temporary advantage, Your Highness, Vex-Kor assured her. They have surprised us once. It will not happen again. The space around Earth erupted in battle. Empire ships launched thousands of fighters that swarmed toward Earth's modest fleet. Admiral Hayes watched his tactical display with growing concern. The hit-and-run tactics were working. Lieutenant Martinez's Eagle Squadron had already destroyed 3 enemy vessels, but the sheer number of Empire fighters was overwhelming. Sir, his communications officer called out, we're losing ships fast. Beta Wing is completely gone. Hayes clenched his jaw. These weren't just dots on a screen. They were men and women he had trained with, friends he had known for years. Pull. Our forces back to defensive position 2, he ordered. Concentrate fire on their lead ships. The USS Defiant shook violently as enemy fire struck its shields. Shields at 60%, someone reported. Hayes knew they couldn't hold out much longer against these numbers. Their only hope was Dr. Collins' weapon. In his laboratory deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Ben Collins worked feverishly to complete the final adjustments to his device. The EMP disruptor was Earth's last hope, a weapon designed to exploit the weakness in the Empire ship's power cores. Power levels stable, his assistant reported. Frequency modulation locked in. Collins nodded. Begin final countdown. Alert command that we're ready. The massive device hummed to life, drawing power from every source available. If it worked, it would emit a precisely tuned electromagnetic pulse that would cascade through the Empire fleet, disrupting their power cores. If it failed, Earth would fall. On the Watchdog platform, Captain Carter received a priority message from Earth. Sir, Dr. Collins reports the EMP disruptor is ready to fire. All our ships have been ordered to pull back behind the moon. Carter quickly relayed the order to the remaining Earth vessels. All stations, this is Watchdog. Fall back immediately. Operation Blackout is commencing. He watched as Lieutenant Martinez's Eagle Squadron made a final attack run, then turned to retreat. But enemy fighters swarmed around them, cutting off their escape route. Eagle Squadron, this is Watchdog, Carter called urgently. You need to clear the area now, Kelly's voice came back, strained with effort. Trying Watchdog, but we're surrounded. Eagle 3 is down. Eagle 7 is hit bad. Carter made a split-second decision. Lieutenant Clark, target those enemy fighters. With everything we've got, give Eagle Squadron an exit route. But sir, if we divert power to weapons, our shields will fail. Do it anyway. The Watchdog platform's remaining weapons blazed to life, cutting through the enemy fighters surrounding Eagle Squadron. One by one, Kelly saw the path opening before her. Eagles, follow me, she ordered, pushing her fighter to its limits. Head for the moon maximum speed. As they fled, she glanced back to see the Watchdog platform taking heavy fire, its shields failing. Captain Carter, get out of there, she called. His calm voice replied, Just doing our job, Lieutenant. Now go so. It's not wasted. Kelly watched in horror as multiple Empire destroyers concentrated fire on the platform. There was a brilliant flash, and then the Watchdog was gone. With tears streaming down her face, she led her remaining pilots to safety behind the moon. Dr. Collins received the signal that all surviving Earthships were clear of the battle zone. Now or never, he muttered, and pressed the activation key. The EMP disruptor fired, sending an invisible wave of energy toward the Empire fleet. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, one by one, the Empire ships began to falter. Their lights flickered. Their weapons went silent. On his command ship, Grand Admiral Vexicor watched in disbelief as his fleet lost power. What is happening? He demanded. Some kind of energy wave, his science officer replied frantically. It's disrupting our power cores. As systems failed around him, Vexicor turned to see Empress Tsavri watching him with cold eyes. It seems these primitives are full of surprises, Admiral, she said. Before he could respond, the bridge exploded around them. The Galactic Empire set its sights on Earth. They got one warning. Leave 3 months after the battle, President Olivia Warren stood at a podium before the newly formed Earth Alliance. Representatives from every nation watched as she addressed them and the billions viewing around the world. Today marks a new chapter in human history, she said, her voice strong despite the exhaustion etched on her face. The Empire's forces have retreated from our solar system. Earth stands free but changed forever. Behind her stood Commander Wright, Admiral Hayes, and the other military leaders who had survived the battle. Many seats remained empty, monuments to those who had given their lives to protect Earth. We have paid a terrible price, the President continued. Cities lie in ruins. Millions have been lost. But humanity has done what the Empire thought impossible. We have defended our home. She gestured to the wall behind her, where a simple plaque had been installed. It bore a single sentence. The Galactic Empire set its sights on Earth. They got one warning: leave. And now, President Warren said, we must look to the stars not with fear, but with determination. The Empire will return. We must be ready. John Rivers had been a history teacher before the invasion. Now he led a team of volunteers helping to rebuild Chicago after an Empire destroyer had crashed into the city center. Careful with that beam, he called to the workers using alien technology to lift wreckage. We can save the hospital if we're gentle. All around him, humans worked alongside the few alien defectors who had chosen to side with Earth. The technology, salvaged from crashed Empire ships, had accelerated rebuilding efforts, allowing them to accomplish in days what would have taken months. A young woman approached John, her face smudged with dirt, but her eyes bright with purpose. "Mr. Rivers, we found survivors trapped in the subway tunnels. The alien scanning tech helped us locate them." John nodded. "Get Dr. Patel's medical team down there right away." As she hurried off, John looked up at the sky. Before the invasion, he had rarely thought about what lay beyond Earth's atmosphere. Now he couldn't look at the stars without wondering what else was out there, both threats and potential allies. In a secure facility beneath Geneva, Dr. Samuel Ross and Dr. Lisa Winters led a team studying Empire technology. The captured vessels had yielded incredible advances in medicine, energy production, and space travel. "The hyperdrive is the key," Dr. Winters explained to Ambassador Daniel Garcia, who had been appointed to lead Earth's outreach to other worlds. "Based on our analysis, we can build a working prototype within 6 months. And this will allow us to travel to other star systems?" Garcia asked, studying the holographic display. "Not just travel, we can reach the worlds the Empire has conquered," Dr. Ross added. "According to the data we recovered and what Sub-Commander Velthar has told us, there are dozens of enslaved species who would join us against the Empire." Ambassador Garcia nodded thoughtfully. "A coalition of the oppressed. The Empire has made many enemies. Perhaps together we can stand against them." "We'll need allies," Dr. Winters agreed. "The Empire has thousands of ships, hundreds of worlds. They'll be back and they'll be angry." Emperor Zorkrath was indeed angry. In 5,000 years, the Empire had never suffered such a defeat. The loss of nearly 200 ships and the death of Grand Admiral Vex Kor had sent shockwaves through Imperial society. How did primitives with no space travel defeat an Imperial battle fleet? He demanded of his advisors. No one had a satisfactory answer. Only his daughter, Empress Tsavri, who had survived the destruction of Vex Kor's command ship, spoke with clarity. "They adapted, Father," she said, her voice still hoarse from smoke inhalation. "They took our technology and improved it. They found weaknesses we didn't know existed. They united their entire world against us." The Emperor considered her words. "You admire these humans." "I respect them," she corrected. "They should not have been able to resist us, yet they did. That merits study, not dismissal." Zorkrath turned to his war council. "Prepare the Central Fleet. We will crush these humans and make an example of them." But for the first time in his long reign, he saw doubt in the eyes of his commanders. Sub-Commander Velthar, now officially an ally of Earth, worked tirelessly with Ambassador Garcia to establish contact with other subjugated worlds. "The Trilaxians will join us," he reported during a strategy meeting. "They have been waiting for centuries for a chance to break free, and the Durrani have already begun sabotaging Empire shipyards in their system." Commander Wright nodded. "How many ships can they provide?" "The Trilaxians have hidden away nearly 50 vessels over the years. The Durrani can offer technical expertise rather than ships, but most importantly, they both have detailed knowledge of Empire defense systems and patrol routes." "A rebellion is spreading," Ambassador Garcia added. "News of Earth's resistance has reached dozens of worlds. The Empire has always maintained control through the belief that they cannot be defeated. We have shattered that belief." Lieutenant Kelly Martinez, now Captain Martinez, led the first test flight of Earth's new hybrid fighter. The sleek vessel combined human design with Empire technology, resulting in a ship faster and more maneuverable than anything in the Imperial fleet. "Phoenix Squadron, check in," she called to her pilots, a mix of humans and aliens from 3 different species. As each pilot reported ready, Kelly felt a swell of pride. After the battle, she had spent weeks mourning those lost, especially Captain Carter and the crew of Watchdog, who had sacrificed themselves so her squadron could escape. Now she flew with their memory driving her forward. "Begin test sequence," she ordered, pushing her fighter into a steep climb. The ship responded instantly, soaring into the upper atmosphere with ease. As Earth fell away beneath her, Kelly saw the first of humanity's new defense platforms taking shape in orbit. Built with recovered alien technology, these stations would form a protective ring around the planet. Phoenix leader to command, she reported. The new fighters perform better than expected. We're ready for deep space trials whenever you give the word. On Earth, President Warren and the leaders of the Earth Alliance gathered to commission humanity's first true starship, the EAS Defiance. Built from the ground up with recovered technology, it would carry Ambassador Garcia and his team to meet with their new allies. As the sleek vessel rose from its construction bay, Commander Wright stood beside Dr. Ross, watching with a mixture of pride and concern. "Do you think we're ready for this?" she asked softly. "Just months ago, we had never left our own solar system." Dr. Ross smiled. "We've always been ready, Allison. Humans adapt. It's what we do best." As the Defiance hovered, above them its engines glowing with energy no human had understood just months earlier, Wright couldn't help but agree. "The Empire thought they found an easy conquest," she said. "Instead, they created their worst nightmare." The Defiance turned its bow toward the stars and accelerated smoothly upward, humanity's first ambassador to the greater galaxy. Behind it, Earth prepared, not just to defend itself, but to take the fight to the Empire. The warning had been delivered. Now it would be enforced.